Hello, I hope everyone's doing great. So, in the last couple of videos, you guys showed that you can't build good maps. So, today I'm gonna show you how to do exactly that. So, consider this a map making tutorial. Now, I'm strictly gonna be talking about time attack maps, but you can apply all of this to whatever other type of maps you're making too. It doesn't really matter, but yeah. The preferred map type by pretty much the majority of the community is definitely time attack. I think I can say that. So that's what I'm gonna be showing you how to make today. And yeah, let's just start. So before we hop into the editor, there's a couple things you want to think of. Number one, do you want to make yourself a route? So this is what I usually do when I make maps off camera. I've made all of the daily maps the past week, pretty much just without making a route for any vehicle, because it looks better in the time-lapse. But usually, I do actually create routes for my maps. So let's take, for example, the round 2 map of the circuitry that I made. So this was a clear rotator map. I made this strictly for rotator. As you can see, the route is pretty calculated, I'd say. Maybe the last jump needs a bit of work, but yeah. And how about we look at circuitry round 3 as well? This was made for CCV, spoiler. I calculated all of the jumps. You can see you make every single one pretty much perfectly. So that's what I usually do in my maps. So you want to think, do you want to make a route, or do you want people to figure out a route themselves? Today, I'm gonna be making a route for the purpose of the video. I'm gonna be doing this in the countryside theme, so it's understandable for everyone, even those who don't have VIP. So, if you're actually making a route yourself, you want to pick a vehicle. Some I like to do a lot are Super Diesel, Chopper, CCV, Supercar, and Formula. Today, I'm gonna do something a little different and actually make a motocross map. Because my last few maps have always just worked out for motocross literally perfectly, so I might as well make one specifically for it. But this doesn't matter, you can basically do any vehicle. Just keep in mind if you do slower ones, like for example Hill Climber MK2 or maybe a dune buggy map, just keep in mind that other vehicles will probably still be faster, even though the route is calculated for that specific vehicle. But yeah, it's not that big of a deal. So, then let's get started. Okay, the first thing I do when I log into the editor is I think of a start. I either visualize in my head if I have an actual idea of what I want the start to look like, or if I currently don't have any ideas, I most of the time just draw some random terrain. Then maybe see from here, what could I change about this to maybe make it look good? And if I just straight up don't like it, I can just start over and do something differently. But yeah, before we get any further, we need to talk about this thing. This little tool here, the smooth tool. Because people apparently don't know that this exists, because I see 90% of people just not use it, even though it's literally the best tool there is. So you basically want to use the smooth tool everywhere, on every single jump, every single little dip, except you're making something really precise, then I'd recommend to just draw really carefully like this. But most of the time, you don't have to do that. So please, I beg you, utilize the smooth tool. It's your best friend while map making. If you're not familiar on how to use it, I like to go in simple little strokes on things I want to either make a little smaller, like this hill, or just terrain that's really jumbled up and want to smoothen it out. Perfect. Doesn't that look so much better? Okay, so always remember, use the smooth tool. Please, I beg. Okay, then, once you figured out something for your first jump, or the very first part of the map, if you're making a route, always playtest to see if the jump is fine, if it needs any adjusting, if it's awkward, if you can't even make it once. Just see how it is, adjust it according to your outcome, and yeah, do that with pretty much every single change you make to the map. Even if it's so minor, you like smoothing out a little hill like this can still make a big difference. So always playtest if you're making a route, that is. Okay, and let's say you have your first jump, but then you're kind of stuck. You don't know what to do. What I like to do is go to the cups and get some inspiration from the already existing maps. You just go into a random cup, random map, and just look how the route evolves over the span of the map. And yeah, maybe get some ideas for your own map. I do this pretty often because I often run out of ideas really quickly. I really recommend doing that if you're kind of stuck or you don't really know what to do. Yeah, so I've now decided that I want to make a little uphill, and then you have to shock here to get over this little bump. And then the next thing I want to talk about is objects. On most themes, there's so many good objects to utilize in so many different ways, and a really cool thing you can do is combine them and make something new every single time. For example, if I were to go down a little here, place a barn on the downhill. So this already looks pretty decent. But how can you make it look a little bit more alive? So for example, there's rocks. The immovable rocks are in every single theme, by the way, so you can do this literally everywhere. Let's put the barn on some rocks and maybe put some planks over it so you can actually drive up. This is one of my favorite things to do when mapping, just combining different objects and making something new every single time. It's really cool. Now we have a bit of an issue. The barn is floating, so let's rotate the rock and put it here as well. And maybe down here, for a reason that it's actually on the rocks, let's make a little water puddle. So it might look a little weird, but it's something new. It looks decent in my opinion. I just love experimenting with stuff like this. What works, what doesn't, yeah. Hey, I actually did mess up a little bit here by already continuing the map after I made this jump. I didn't test it before. That's usually not what you should do, but I low-key forgot. You're gonna forget sometimes too, so just keep that in mind always. I think I've explained to you pretty much all the little basics. The rest, you basically just figure out along the way, but basically the big things to always keep in mind are the smooth tool, and if you want to make a route for your map with a specific vehicle. Just always keep those two things in mind, and yeah, the rest is pretty much up to you. Also, another thing I want to mention, you shouldn't make any jump or anything in the map too hard if you're making a time attack map, because it kind of just makes it a little annoying to hunt, so try and keep things relatively simple, is what I'm trying to say basically. But, of course, you don't have to follow this rule, and you can actually also just go completely crazy. Make a trial time attack map or something. I've done it, I'm pretty sure. There's so many possibilities in the map editor. That's why it's my favorite feature in the game.